Welcome to another edition of You Are Here. Today, joining me is once again Mark McCrite. How you doing, Mark?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, thanks. It's a commonplace now to have you on the show, so I'm welcoming you here with open arms once again. Today, we are going to be discussing the best of everything. It's a CD Maxi-Single that the estate has put out, and I sent you a copy this last week and wanted you to go through it. Um, Let me just tell everybody what it is. It's a 3-track CD, and it's the best of everything. The original track appeared on um, the Bolt CD, which is now out of print, and it's a piano and vocal accompaniment that Kevin did. And what's very interesting is we searched the archives and we found a couple of demos that Kevin had done in the early 90s for the best of everything. And he since changed the song into what the piano vocal form was. So we thought we would give you all three versions in one format, in one selection, so that you guys can go ahead and kind of see Kevin's process of how his songwriting went. And so today we're going to go ahead and discuss some of the tracks, actually all three of the tracks, and kind of give you a better insight into how this was put together. Um, there's only 500 units of these, and they're all numbered with nice little holograms on there, so everybody can mix and match and see which number you got. Mark, what number do you got? Do you know?
I got 216.
There you go. And they're all random. All in every box there that they sent, they're just randomly put in.
Hmm.
So we'll see what everybody got. Um, let's get right into it. I'm gonna just so everybody hears. Let's just get right into one of the first track. It is the best of everything, the piano and vocal version.
Oh, I do not stand a chance, 'cause love is not the question here. It's the fortune that I bring. She needs the best of everything. Oh, I do not stand a chance. Why should she settle for a common man when she can have a king? She needs the best of everything. Oh, she needs the best of everything.
It's the 1995 version, recorded at Lawnmower and Garden Supplies. How have you felt about that song when you first heard it, and when did you first hear it?
Well, I mean, to be really honest, okay, so the first time I ever heard it was there was a point where there was an internet I think it was the lawnmower list, like the listserv list,
Mm-hmm.
and there were a bunch of people that John Rubin did a lawnmower and garden supplies tour, and people came and checked it out, and people were, videoing and showing stuff. And I didn't go to that. I didn't know about it. But when at the end of the tour, I think it was, John put that recording up, and that the people were recording, and so that got out, and that was how it got into trading circles. And so that was the first time that I heard it, and that was it was the first time since Kevin passed, well, aside from like the immediate aftermath when, I was hearing Caviar stuff, and I had heard the shaving stuff like back when Kevin was still alive and that kind of stuff. But I first heard Caviar just immediately, like in the week after he passed, and this was the first time in like probably a couple of years that I had heard anything that I had not heard
Mm-hmm.
before. So it would have been a couple of years since I heard a new Kevin track, and it just, yeah, it hit me between the eyes. I just, it was an emotional experience. And so it was interesting because I played it for my wife, and she's listening, and she's like, God, every time she hears Kevin stuff, she just gets angry. It's just
Yeah.
like, man, and she was especially struck by, like, it's another freaking Jenny Ledge, it's like Kevin's making the same mistakes over and over again, and it's just like, holy shit. And I was like, yeah, but this is like, that was like this witty kind of, sort of ironic and, playful in the way that he was, like that kind of dichotomy and the Elvis metaphors and stuff like that. And this one is just so, it was heartbreaking to me. It just really like kind of spoke to me, but it's kind of telling the same story.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is that I had never really noticed the similarities in the Jenny Ledge story and the Sheryl Crow story.
Mm-hmm.
And it really kind of hammered that home. And then when hearing this single, it became clear, because the older versions, I wondered if that was kind of more Jenny Ledge kind of, about that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he kind of revisited, it's kind of like the anti Leaving Miss Broadway.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is it's the soul crushing, just like, it's ripped my heart right out. And then there's the angry, the reaction to all of that later. And I just think it's really interesting kind of comparing those two songs and even sort of those three songs. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it's an emotional experience hearing it for the first time. And it's really one of my very favorite things of his. I think it's like Kevin at his most vulnerable. And I just think it's a brilliant track.
It's a great track. I agree. And almost everything you touched on, I'm right there aligned with you.
Yeah. We haven't talked about this on purpose. So
no, yeah, and I purposely, we're not recording this show ahead of the release date. We did it when it's sent out, and everybody has their copies already like that, or should have them. We wanted to let it breathe a little, let people accept it first. I wanted you to hear it in the nice remastered CD version and everything like that before we did our show. Yeah, you touched on a lot of points right there that, I mean, the show's over. I don't need to say anything else.
No, there's more, definitely.
But you touched on a lot of things right there. And, it's so beautifully recorded. The piano and vocals, you listen to it on headphones, and it's immersed in your head right there.
Yeah.
It's so well done.
He's such a great engineer.
You don't hear any foot movement, any foot pedals.
Yeah.
You don't hear any of the chords, anything like that. It's very well recorded. His voice, everything. It's like you said, it's one of the best tracks that he ever recorded, I think. Because of that tour at Lawnmower and Garden Supplies, which you talked about, yes, the audio did get out there, VHS quality audio, and it became a fan favorite even before Nuts and Bolts was released. So people wanted to hear that, and once they heard it in true sonic form and in its fidelity, it became that true gem.
Yeah, a few months later, I mean, with that song, a few months later, I had been working with Nick. He actually he filled in on drums in my band for a show where we opened for Spock's Beard. And so, we had been hanging out. We did, and he asked me to come out and play on a track for him. And it kind of ended up not going anywhere. I was just kind of, honestly, I was a little spooked, and we ended up writing some stuff, but we never really did anything with it. But he said, well, let's, hey, we're here at Lawnmower. You want to you want to check out some stuff? And I was, I'm like a kid in the candy store, like a dream come true. And the very first thing I asked him was like, I want to hear the best of everything through the big speakers, off the master. Like, let's crank it up.
Yeah, when we were putting this together, John Rubin and I were talking, and John even said, that Kevin played this for him, like actually played it for him.
Oh, so, like sitting there.
Actually played it for him. So John, I was probably right after it was recorded, because Kevin was excited about that. So that is very interesting take. Now, it brings us to the second track on this maxi single, which is the pop demo. Now, this was recorded I should backtrack. This comes from a DAT tape that Kevin manufactured, that he put together in his studio. And it said song ideas 1990 to 1991 and 92. And so on this it was a bunch of stuff. I mean, there were little snippets of guitar chords and little sections here and there. There was some keyboard stuff here and there from different songs that he was doing, little seeds of Thud nuggets, and also Shaming of the True. So in this DAT, Kevin had a few demos that were done, and one of them was the best of everything, and he labeled it pop demo. So let's give you just a little bit of that right now. That's track 2.
Should she settle for a common man when she can have a king? She needs the best of everything. Oh no, she needs the best of everything.
All right, you get, and it has scat, a little bit of scratch vocals
Right.
on there. So you get, as demo a form it is. Now, Kevin was great because he grew up in a recording studio. So a lot of the stuff he did was full on sonic demo, like you wouldn't believe. Unfortunately, these weren't recorded in the studio to that degree. These were, as you can tell, it's a little bit not as hi-fi. It's a little lo-fi, but it still sounds great. We don't know the original source of it. There are no multi-tracks for this, so it's leads to believe Kevin created it, put it away, and just made a mix on the DAT tape, and then that was it. So
Yeah, it's probably DA88s or something like
yeah.
that.
But they're non-existent. I mean, they're wherever he did it, it's just not there.
You never know. I mean, he could have even, it sounds like everything on that is hard sequenced, and there's just a vocal over it. He could have just like sequenced it up and sang over it.
Right. So how do you feel about that? Number one, had you heard that before? And
no, I had never heard this before.
Okay, so what was your take after hearing it?
Well, it sounds kind of Kai Gilbert-ish. I think it's interesting because the value in this for me is like, everyone, all of my friends, and probably everyone watching this podcast, because you're a muso if you're a Kevin Gilbert fan. And, it's like, I'm guessing we all watched the Beatles thing, the Get Back thing, and just watching their creative process and watching these classic songs come together and stuff like that. And, it reminded me of that. It's like, this is an insight into his process. So, who knows if he had other versions or if he was, I don't know. It was just interesting to hear where it came from. I think also it was kind of indicative to me of like, I noticed that, when he finally ended up with Thud, he had settled into this really stark, really just, sort of soul crushing vibe, with the exception of When You Give Your Love to Me, which is, kind of poking fun at things that aren't like that. And it's like he was clearly experimenting with other things along the way, because even at that time he's doing things like Waking the Sun and Big Heart and the T for One with the Phil Collins bridge and stuff like that. And so it's like, this is kind of along that. It's like I almost wonder, like, was he interested in like producing this and selling it like he did with Nightmare? Was he was he interested in a more pop project at some point? I don't know. Who knows?
The pop demo he did shop to an artist named Asuka in Japan. So
the pop version of Best of Everything?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So there is I believe Asuka did a version of that. So
really?
Yeah, back in 94 maybe it was.
Wow.
This is all off of memory. Pony Canyon Records, I believe it is.
Yeah. I remember Todd Rundgren has some stuff that was exclusively on Pony Canyon. So
I can hear all the collectors now,
totally
off to eBay and just they're all going. I can hear them now.
Asuka, let's see. Let me do this before it airs.
Now, you mentioned it sounds like it comes from the Call Me Kai era or whatever. That's not to say that the music wasn't from there. I mean, he might have had, as we are finding out, some stuff in Call Me Kai era ended up on Shaming of the True. It ended up on Thud. You know,
Well, and Call Me Kai is curated, so
yeah,
this is part of what he was choosing from, maybe.
exactly. Yeah, he was, and that's what I said. He had a DAT that had song ideas from 90, 91, and 92. And to just, I'm going to give everyone an idea of what's on this DAT. Now, this is a surprise to you. It surprised everyone else. This is kind of a little treat for everybody who's sticking with us for this 3-song You Are Here episode. On that DAT had something like this. And let's see if you can figure out what this is. His vocals are really low, and this was only checking out his guitar. He was just checking out guitar tones for this song. And this was the first incarnation of this song. All right, so that's one little snippet there. That ended up being Song for a Dead Friend and Thud. And then this goes back to the Call Me Kai sessions. This track, I backtracked to the 80s. Now it's on his DAT that's 90 to 92, but there's a couple of sections of this that appear in the 80s section. So let me see if you can recognize this off the bat.
Yep, City of the Sun.
Yeah, so that just gives you an idea of some of the stuff that's just on these DATs that Kevin did. And he was just came up with an idea. Now this City of the Sun section, it leads into this huge proggy thing. All of a sudden it just swirls up into this proggy thing, and then it just goes back into the plotting City of the Sun and then ends. So it's only like a 2-minute thing, but like they said, there were just ideas that he was coming up with. He tracked them, and some of them he pulled back out and went back in and ate up a little bit. There was also another song called Temporary Heart, and that one might come out in the future. Who knows? It's along the lines of the Best of Everything. It's a demo along those lines. Do you have anything to add about the pop vocal version?
Oh yeah, I was curious. You're asking me if I recognize things. I don't, but do you recognize either the verses or the bridge from that version of Best of Everything? Did they ever pop up in any other context that we've heard before?
I've heard some similarities, but in unfinished work. So I don't know if it was a variation before this that led to the Best of Everything, or if it was afterwards. But it's in that same corny, cheesy type of demo form. Nothing, nothing real studio-like, high fidelity. But like I said, we've started something where on YouTube, where we released a Caviar track recently, from the covers disc and the Toy Matinee Live. We released Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding, Burn Down the Mission. We're going to start doing a bunch of things like that, and some things that don't have a home, we're going to do a home on YouTube and let people hear them and just kind of make their own evaluation. Certain things don't have room or a home on a CD release, and a lot of people thought the Best of Everything was going to reference like a box set, the Best of Everything. And
oh, interesting.
Yeah. And it's a great title for it, but what do you do? How do you release a best of Kevin Gilbert when there's so much out there from Toy Matinee and Tuesday?
I've tried to do it before. I'm guessing a lot of people watching probably have too.
Yeah. So
like, I mean, you got your one Giraffe song and your one Toy Matinee song and your one Thud song and your one Caviar song, or 2 of each or whatever. But yeah.
So it's one of those things, you just go crazy trying to figure it out. So,
but it's like, man, what's the point?
Yeah, you just get all the CDs. I mean, there's really not that many CDs or music to get, so you can afford to grab that. Okay, let's get back to the best of everything. This is track 3. It's the instrumental version, and I really want to hear your take on this because there are differences in this. Any changes you noticed between the pop vocal version and the instrumental?
I mean, it sounds like the keyboard parts are, higher and kind of matching the vocal of that we all know.
Right.
But,
And that's Kevin had it listed. I think the instrumental actually had a note that said 1 step up.
yeah.
So, and yes, he changed the pop vocal version to match his voice. So,
Mhm.
so it was good there. What's interesting,
And so wait, you said 91, 92 is it's interesting because I mean his voice sounds more mature on this than like the Kai Gilbert kind of stuff.
well, this one is, we're looking at it as this one came out in 92, based on where it was in the DAT, on the track list.
So
the DAT, it was more at the bottom of the DAT, and that was all the 92 stuff was more of the finished stuff for.
that's kind of post Toy Matinee.
Yeah, definitely. But like I said, I don't know if the music originated from the 80s, and then
Right.
put that vocal on over. He might have had the 1 step up first, and then lowered it so that he could sing on top of it. That's what I think happened. I think the instrumental version came out first. Then when he wanted to sing over it, he went ahead and lowered it. So, but we put it on here also, and this is one of the reasons why we wanted to give this its own release, is because they are so drastically different, even time wise. One, I think, what is it, the instrumental, I think, just ends, does it just ends on a hard stop, and the pop instrumental has a fade, and those are all from Kevin. That's how Kevin designed it. That's how he did it. Someone asked on the Facebook message group about the best of, it would have been great if we would have had just the piano version of track 1 of the 1995 version of the best of everything. And my reply was, Kevin didn't leave us one. I mean, we're not generating.
Wait, the what?
The piano vocal version, track 1. They would love just an instrumental version of that. Just
yeah. He was probably playing and singing that at the same time, so you couldn't really isolate things.
But even if we did, we're not going in and kind of reinventing the wheel here, and kind of, we're not going in and saying, let's make an instrumental out of this track, or let's do that. We're basing these off of Kevin's actual mixes.
Yeah, and what I want to hear is a fleshed out band version of the piano version. So like, and that's something I have a lot of interest in doing myself. But
what about the reverse? What about doing finishing the pop demo with the vocals?
What do you mean? Oh, what do you mean by that? I mean, that's
the pop demo vocals are incomplete.
Right, but I mean, you can't really fit the words from the piano version over the pop version because the chords are so different, right?
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Is someone going to go out there and attempt that?
Oh, right. Yeah, sing verses.
Exactly. Is someone going to come over and all of a sudden, take that instrumental version and say, let's make our own? So I'm curious to see. I mean, have at it if you want. Go for it. Now, is this a release that you were expecting, that you wanted? Is it something that interests you?
I mean, I think they're all cool, but I mean, it's not anything I was expecting, that's for sure.
The price is right. It's $8. It's not anything, it's not something that the estate's gonna to make $1 million off of. This was really something just to get the music out there. The artwork,
it's a great song, and it, like you said, it's like the stuff like kind of doesn't have a home. So
yeah, and instead of releasing it just straight digital with no artwork or anything like that, we wanted to put artwork with it. We wanted to present something.
Yeah, I love the I Love Lucy thing.
So it's pretty interesting. This all just kind of speedballed. So when we decided to do this project, uh, John Rubin and I sat down and we trying to figure out, okay, what are we going to do for the artwork? John came up with the idea, what if we, put a heart on it? We knew we wanted this for Valentine's Day because of that really sadistic way of Kevin, kind of an ode to Valentine's. And so we wanted to give it that theme. We didn't want to, make a big red heart on the front and, make it all saccharine filled. So on a whim, I just grabbed a I Love Lucy thing and mocked it up, sent it over to John. He was laughing, sent it over to Hugh Brown, and we went with it from there. So
That's cool.
we included Kevin's handwritten lyrics in the inside, and there's an unreleased photo in there also, and credits on the back. It's just, we wanted to give it a whole thing. We just didn't want to put it in a little sleeve, pop it in, and send it out. We wanted to give people at least some quality to the packaging. So
Yeah,
I think it
no, it
works.
makes sense as a single.
Good. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, what do we have to talk about? It's the best of everything. It's out now. You could go get it. What I found
Yeah.
is I've listened to this. Once I put it in the car, I listened to it back to back 2 or 3 times. Once I got to the end of that third track, at the end of the instrumental version, and it went back to track 1, I'm trying to find out, okay, what did you do different here? What did you switch? What did
Yeah, yeah, totally.
And then I hear it starts the process again. So it is value for your buck. And in 14 minutes CD, you get to hear 28 minutes of it if you repeat it. Do you have anything else to add, Mark? Anything else going on in this CD?
I don't think so. I mean, like I said, it's just I'm glad to see this song get the spotlight because I think it's really cool, and it's it's kind of buried up until now. Maybe a fan favorite. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I've ever really heard anyone rave about the song. But yeah, it's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah,
I love and interesting. I guess the only other thing we didn't talk about is the Andrew Gold version.
Oh yeah, have you?
I think that's really
that?
cool that he did that. He's another one we lost way too soon, but it was. I mean, he did just like a spot on remake of Kevin's solo version, and that was really cool. Really suits him. I always liked his stuff anyway.
Even the ad-libbing at the end that Kevin was doing, it seems like Andrew Gold did almost exactly those, like you're saying. So yeah, and that's on YouTube. People can go look up Andrew Gold, the best of everything, and that's on there. It gives credit to Kevin, everything like that. Well, all right, Mark.
There is another cover of that too, isn't there?
From who?
The female artist.
I don't know. I'd have to check on my log.
That's something we'll have to follow up with.
We'll have an addendum
in the comments. Yeah.
Anyone in the comments there will have to do it. All right. Well, like I said, this is a quick episode. We just wanted to come in and kind of give you our take on it and see. So once again, thanks, Mark, and we'll see.
All right. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time you are here.